Hello and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Pavani. I hope you're all doing good, my dear friends. Today we are going to go through 5th and 6th October's PIB news items. I have got two special topics for you guys as well. And before moving ahead, I would like to apologize to all of you because I was working on this Gujarat Public Service Commission current affairs. The students preparing for GPSC, they know it very well that their exams are not that far from where we are standing at present. So I was preparing some current affairs for them, and this is one of the main reason why PIB's got a bit delayed. But now, hopefully, things will be all right. Tomorrow as well, I'm going to give you a joint lecture because 7th October is a Sunday, so 8th and 9th, that is this Monday and Tuesday's PIB will be given to you in a joint lecture, and from 10th we will be back to normal to our single lecture. But that does not mean that you are a bit or it's not that we have left many things. No, in fact, I have got two special topics for you guys. The first one is space traveling. Very interesting research is been published recently, and this research was funded by NASA. And basically this study is indicating that it's going to be a bit of a problem, not bit, but it's going to be a severe problem for us, for our astronauts, if they are planning to travel, into deep space, because this can destroy their guts or their gastrointestinal tissues. So that's a matter of concern for the whole humanity. We have some previous studies, and results of previous studies have talked about how it can damage our brains and how it can age our astronauts prematurely. But this one is an addition to what we were knowing so far. And the good news is that it's not going to be, it's not this ion radiation. It's not going to affect us if we are traveling to moon. But say for example to Mars, then yes, it can create some severe issue for us. This is something that has been said by Kamal Datta, a senior scientist at Georgetown University Medical Center and NASA. GI tract is, and GI basically means this gastrointestinal, right? Tract is a continuous state of self-renewal, and how it works is basically after every 3 to 5 days we get new cells and the old ones are out. So that's what happens in our tummy. And because of this exposure to radiation, and one of the main reason why we are you can say will be, or our astronauts can be exposed to this radiation, is because the current shielding technology that we are using, it's not going to be helpful when it comes to deep space. So because of this exposure to radiation, it can impact our GI tract, and this replacement that generally speaking takes place every 3 to 5 days, it will get malfunctioning, and because of this thing, nutrition absorption as well as pathological process like cancer can also take place. So that's everything regarding it. But as I told you, short trips, it's going to be unharmful. But of course, I think we are, now we will, as we know now that this is a thing that we need to be careful about. So I'm sure we are going to come out with some, proper gear or proper protective shielding that can allow us or our astronauts or human beings to travel deep into the space. And now, before moving ahead, dear friends, I would like to introduce all of you to our SSC JE pen drive courses. As you can see on your screen, we have 6 different items. To find out more about it, do check out StudyIQ.com. In case if you have any question or queries, you will get chat support on our portal. You'll find our phone numbers as well if you want to have a word with someone, and about, of course, our SSC JE pen drive and tablet courses. And if you have any doubts or anything, then as well you can give us a call on the numbers, right? Of course, again, something to do with pen drive and tablet courses. If you have doubts regarding any topics or about any things that we have discussed on our lectures, then you can get in touch with me via Facebook page and Twitter handle. You can download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page as well. On our screen we have the biggest country in the world. It's Russia, and as you can see here, Russia is sharing its border with so many countries. So I would reckon you guys to open your atlas and do find out the number of countries with which Russia is sharing its border with. And if you can, then do give me a figure in the comment section of this video. And now the capital is of course Moscow, as I'm sure we are aware about this sort of GK stuff. And Vladimir Putin, who is president of Russia, he is here in our country. And as we are talking about, both as 5th and 6th, so he arrived here in our country. He was received by our Sushma Swaraj ji, right, who is our external affairs minister. And this is 19th India-Russia annual bilateral summit. So from the name itself, you can figure it out that a meeting takes place every year between India and Russia, and this one is the 19th version. The 18th meeting took place in Russia. The 20th will take place in Russia as well, right? So I hope you know this thing that every year we switch from one time it is in Russia, the other year it's in India, then Russia. So that's how it works. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi received the visiting Russian President Putin at his official residence this evening, and both leaders and both countries, you can say, we have expressed this wish that our friendship, unique friendship that we share with Russia, we would like to take it. We would like to, enhance it further. We would like to take it to a new level. That's what we are always, both the sides have always been trying. And there was a delegation level talks as well between both the leaders. So here is a small example of delegation level talk. So you have Vladimir Putin, and then you have Narendra Modi ji, and then you have other important players of Russia and other counterparts of India. So this is what delegation talk is all about. I'm sure we have seen this many times in news clips, and that leaders are chatting with each other on a big round on this type of table, conference table. So this is delegation level talk, very important thing when it comes to annual summits. And both the leaders have talked about regional and global issues. Now I will leave it on you guys. Can you tell me a couple of regional global issues that are of interest of India and Russia, and not separately, but basically you can say some items where both the nations, they find that this thing is something that is falling in the regional context of Russia as well as India, or global issues that both the nations are worried about or concerned about. So do let me know in the comment section. If you don't know, then you have to do a little bit of research, but make sure that you post your answer. Very important question. So that's it. And moving on to another item. Now, when I say another item, I mean to say next date. As you know that we are covering 2 dates here. So this was on the first day. Now the second day, what we find out next meeting, right? We find that India and Russia signed this S-400 long-range surface-to-air missile system. But the most important deal in this meeting is this one, S-400 long-range surface-to-air missile system. USA is, of course, not going to be that happy because of this CATSA, and so that's the thing, right? But then as well, we have decided to go ahead with this deal is because it's our defense requirement. That is our top priority. And the second thing is that we are a sovereign country, and our strategic autonomy, our independence, right, is something that is in our hands, and our decisions are again, in our hands, and no one else will dictate us what to do and what not to do. And when it comes to energy security, when it comes to defense security, right, we cannot wait, or we cannot act like a puppet country of USA. So here we are not trying to create a sort of confrontation with USA, right? We are capable enough to develop and to maintain independent relationship with India. Of course, we are India, of course. So we can have this, this format, India, USA. We can have this independent format of India, Russia. We can have independent format of India and China. Right, all these three countries, right, generally speaking, Russia is not happy with USA, USA is not happy with China, USA is not happy with Russia, and so this sort of things are going on. But that does not mean that we will take sides. We don't want to take any sides. We are not a country that is therefore taking sides. We would like to act independently, and we have always been, generally speaking. So we have, this is a clear gesture from our country that we cannot compromise our defense necessities. Apart from that, we have inked total 8 agreement, which includes nuclear energy. Now, we already have this Kudam power plant in our country, remember? And a couple of days ago, this thing was in news item, and I have talked about this thing in the Hindu news analysis, that Bangladesh is going to get its nuclear power plant from Russia, and Russia wants India to join hands. So together, India and Russia are going to create a nuclear energy setup in Bangladesh. So that's a very interesting combo here, or teamwork of India and Russia. And then you have trade, you have railways, MSME sectors, and other sectors are part of these 8 agreements. We have also said, both the nations have said, that the friendship that we share, or the relationship that we share with each other, is unmatchable. And that's everything. Apart from that, we have got a commitment from Russia that it is going to provide us energy. The first shipment of LNG reached here, the first batch reached here in our country last June. And this is the first one, but it's not going to be the last one. So we are going to get this LNG, which is in huge amount available in Arctic and in Russian portion. Mr. Putin has called for advancing industrial cooperation. He has said that we have huge potential, and still it's a bit underperforming. The bilateral trade is below $10 billion, which is not that impressive. But one of the reason is, of course, this distance between both the nations. But there are so many other items that we can produce for Russia, and we can, if goods are not matching, of course we can match. But I'm just saying that we can look for investment in each other's nation. So that's basically everything. Terrorism is a thing, that Afghanistan, Russia is involved in so many different parts of the world. Like you are common interest in Syria, common interest in Afghanistan. So Russia has also, expressed its concerns regarding terrorism. Last year, St. Petersburg, I think a metro in St. Petersburg was attacked by some suicide bomber or something. So not suicide bomber, but there was a blast actually. So Russia is again a country that has been facing this terrorism. And on Afghanistan, both the nations have declared that we are ready to support Afghanistan's government, and it should be Afghan-led, the peace process, or should be Afghan-led and Afghan-owned. And that's everything. Now moving on to another item. It is about Finance Ministry. It's about fuel prices. And our government has decided to cut down 2 rupees and 50 paise per litre on both petrol and diesel. So that's a news that will bring cheer on the face of many people, right? And government has done it by reducing 1 rupee 50 paise on this excise duty, and the next 1 rupee will be taken or will be absorbed by this oil marketing companies. So total you get 2.50 here. Of course, it's a rupee. And Finance Minister has said that he is going to personally write letters to all chief ministers as well as all states that they should take some necessary steps in line with this decision of central government. So let's hope. And there are many states out there. As soon as the central government has announced this thing, there are so many states out there, they have declared. So in many states, what we find is that total of 5 rupee discount is available on petrol and diesel. Now, one thing that we have to keep in our mind is that this is something that is totally out of our control. We cannot dictate what can happen in international market, but of course we can do things that are in our hands. And here we can see that government is trying to do what it is in its hand, but still it's a bit scary, right? We are too vulnerable whenever this sort of things, if there are tensions in Iran and other places, then we find this sort of scenario. So that's that makes our country a bit vulnerable, and petrol prices going up will create political turmoil and things like that. So it's a bit scary. Now we have a small update, but very important one. Small because it's just 2 points that I would like to draw your attention at. India today deported 7 Rohingya immigrants. Now, of course, you know that Rohingyas are basically from Myanmar or Burma, and they were last year. They were in news this year as well. They were in news, but last year they were in news because we saw like there was a huge influx of people. You know, Rohingyas, they migrated to this Cox's Bazar that is in Bangladesh and other parts of this portion here in our country as well. We have some 40,000 migrants from this Rakhine state of Myanmar. Now, this 7 deported Rohingyas are not from last lot, but they were here since 2012. So we have to keep this thing in mind. Now, the most important thing that I would like to draw your attention at is this one. You have this Rakhine state, and then you have this river called Naf. So remember, Naf river is right there on the border of this Bangladesh and Myanmar, and this was the river that was in news. So many people died because of their boat capsized in this river, so it was in news. So keep this thing in mind just in case if you find a question on this item. Now, Government of India, not Government of India, but RBI and Monetary Policy Committee of RBI has kept all policy rates unchanged. So basically, repo rate is as it was. Reverse repo rate is again as it was. So how it works is, say for example, SBI wants a loan from RBI, then RBI is not going to give it for free. It will charge a certain amount of interest on this loan, and that interest rate is called repo rate. If just in case if SBI is seeking, if RBI would like to get some money from or loan from SBI, then reverse repo rate, right? SBI is not going to give it for free, so SBI again is going to ask for interest rate. So that's called reverse repo rate. Now it is used for to control the flow of money in the economy, this interest rate or this repo rate. And so if you make it cheaper, if the loans are cheaper, then more people will take loan and they will invest and they will spend and things like that. So it will increase transactions in economy and it will boost this economic activity. But it can also kick inflation too. So that's a thing. So to control this flow of money, this tool is used. It is called monetary policy tool. And one more thing, that you have this 6 members in this MPC. So you have 3 members are from RBI and 3 members are from Government of India. So total you have 6 members, and just in case all the decisions are taken by voting. If in case there is a tie-up, if 3 members are saying yes and 3 members are saying no, then what will happen? Then the final call of governor of RBI will be valid. If governor is saying yes, then that will become a yes. If he is saying no, then that will become a no. Simple as that. Moving on to another item, it is about Nobel Prize. Nadia Murad and Denis Mukwege, they have won this year's Nobel Peace Prize. Now, Norwegian Nobel Institute. Remember here, pay attention. Earlier on, what we have seen is that Sweden used to give awards, isn't it, so far? But here you have Norwegian. So when it comes to Peace Prize, right, it is given by Norwegian Nobel Institute. So keep this thing in mind. And dear friends, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of both this absolutely wonderful people here. Nadia, right, she is a Yazidi, and who are Yazidi people? They are ethnically Kurdish, and where you find them predominantly here in this Sinjar region. Sinjar mountain is there where you find, they used to live here. And since ISIS took over this Iraq, these girls, young girls were abducted by this ISIS, and they were raped and they were treated as, sex slaves, and they were sold, and so many bad things were done by this ISIS and their people. And then you have this Mukwege. Dr. Mukwege is from Congo, and he has won this award because he has worked for all those people, who were victim of sexual violence in his country. So together they means fine. Let me give you a small Again, one more thing about this Nadia. Nadia was a sex slave, and she finally, she got a chance, and she ran away from this captivity. And since then, she's writing, and she has raised her voice against this thing, and that's very brave of this girl here called Nadia. And Mukwege again is absolutely amazing human being, right? He has raised voice against the sexual violence that is going on in his country, and he has helped so many victims of that. So hats off to both these leaders, I would say. And you can also understand that this Nobel Prize given to two individuals who have worked in the same field indicates that this awareness regarding this thing, and how much awareness it will create and other things. So right, so moving on to last item of the day. This one is a special topic again, as you can see on your screen. This is not India. In fact, you can see Gandhiji here, right? Gandhiji talked about this men's need and men's greed. We have talked about it in detail. And in fact, this place here, it's one of the most famous tourist place in London city. It's called Piccadilly Circus, very famous. And I'm sure we all have, watched this place in movies, so many songs and other things. So here we find 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhiji is celebrated, Swachh Bharat and looking after our earth and things like that. Now, I have given this the name of to this particular topic as Clean India Vision. Why it is a vision, we'll talk about it. But this is a very interesting thing. I'm not sure how many of us are aware about this thing, but once upon a time, Gandhiji was asked to choose between cleanliness and independence. And guess what? Mahatma Gandhiji said that I would, of course, right? Of course, when it comes to cleanliness and independence, I would choose cleanliness rather than independence. And the reason why he was giving this much, emphasis on cleanliness is because he strongly believed, he was convinced that if people adopt cleanliness, then their mindset undergoes, or it goes through a radical change. And this is true as well. Only a person or society who is active enough, aware enough, alert enough, conscious enough, will make sure that they are not destroying the environment. The more aware, more good habits, more aware people you have in your society, the less filthiness you will find. So simple is that. So when we start living in a good environment, everything that we do, I'll give you a small example, right? Just a small example. You all are studying, right? You all have books and everything's on your table, or many of you would be having it on your bed as well. By entering your room, I can tell you how organized you are, or how your preparation is going on, because how you keep your things, all these things, right, are part of your personality, right? And if you will see that there are a few weeks where your books are not tidy, they are here and there, and you can go through your own, right? I will leave it on you guys. You guys will vouch for it, that when your books are not proper, when you're, everything is here and there, those days or those weeks are not most productive weeks of yours. But where your books and everything is tidy, neat and clean, everything you want is in proper place, you'll find that you will be feeling good as well. At the same time, you will be more productive. So same thing applies to our society as well. The more clean society we have, the more productive we become. Now, we have gone through and we have talked about these figures here, so you can help yourself with it. I'm not going to it. All I want to add here is that World Bank and other external agencies, they have came out with these figures, and the World Bank has also talked about this figure. So anyways, we talked about this thing, isn't it, that there are a few states out there, they are declared open defecation free, but still we find some sort of filth over there. Now, the thing is, if it took last 7 decades for us to realize that filthiness is everywhere around us, we have basically, before this Swachh Bharat, we accepted this problem. We were blind to this problem, and we forgot this thing that cleanliness is deeply linked with health, isn't it? If we are living in a dirty place, then it is going to eat away our kids. If we are not providing toilets and other sanitary facilities to our girls, then they are not going to get education. If they don't get education, then 50% of our population will be uneducated, so we can never achieve that peak of our potential. Then we have cleanliness. It is associated with dignity as well. In fact, a very interesting statement has been said by United Nations Secretary General. He has said that if we spend $1 after cleanliness, we generate income worth $4 to $5. So that's a very interesting observation. And cleanliness is also deeply linked with our environment. And I believe the reason why I have used the word vision here is because what we will find is, once we have created toilets for everyone, once we are used to with throwing rubbish at a very proper dedicated places, then our next step will be to clean our air, to water and other things. And I believe that this is going to go on, and this good effect or good thing will be rolled over, and it will be replicated in other parts of the world as well, and hopefully our world will become a bit more beautiful. So this is the reason why I have termed it a vision. It's a big vision. We have to believe in this dream. We have to believe that we can clean our country, we can keep our country clean, and we can create huge amount of potential as well for tourism and other things. So that's everything in today's discussion. Thank you very much for listening, dear friends. I will see you tomorrow. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.